This is Kyle Schwarber. I'm going to tell you why I think he will be the June Player of the Month. You can see on this card, 16 home runs. This is the most home runs a player has hit in a month in many years. I checked the last 3 years. There wasn't one player who said 16 home runs. The second best was 14 home runs. It might be over 4 or 5 years. I don't know. I stopped looking after 3 years, but let's check out these stats. 16 home runs, 280, which is not terrible. But before I go into the other reason why I think Kyle Schwarber will be the Player of the Month, let's go through the other players and eliminate some of these candidates. Now, I think Shohei Ohtani could be the Player of the Month, so I'll come back to him later. Jonathan Schoop, first base primary. I thought he was a second base primary, but he's first base primary this year. Also plays second, short, and third. So he's got that going for him. But the problem is, first base, there's a glut of good players at first. Second base, they just released Marcus Semien last month. He's not going to be better than Semien, or just very slightly better. Shortstop, they just released Wander Franco. I don't think they'll release another good shortstop so soon after releasing Wander Franco. And third base, we have a ton of good options at third base. Chipper Jones. I don't know where you would put Jonathan Schoop if they did release him as a Lightning Player card. And they want to make this card a card people want to go and buy by playing the game, playing all the tops down moments, or just outright buying the tops down cards. So they want to make this a desirable card. Every month they've been doing this for the last few months. They've made this a great card that people want to buy. I don't think it'll be Altuve. His average is not good enough. And for the same reasons, I don't think Schoop will be the Player of the Month. Tatix, I think he's a player that's too good to be Player of the Month. His Live Series card is already very good, and they're going to have other chances to give Tatix a juiced up card, like a finest card or some other card. So I don't think it'll be Tatix. Joey Gallo doesn't have as good as stats as Kyle Schwarber. 10 home runs is less. 263 is less. He might get a card in the program, but I don't think it won't be the Lightning card in my opinion. Vladamir Guerrero Jr., I also think he is a candidate to be the Player of the Month. I'll come back to him later. Salvador Perez did well. He had 9 home runs, 292. But they just announced today that Team Affinity Season 3 will come out in 2 weeks. And all the cards will be current players in the 2021 All-Star Game. Salvador Perez is the only All-Star on the Royals, so he has to be Season 3 Team Affinity card for the Royals. Cedric Mullins, I don't think they want to give it to an outfielder because there's a glut of outfielders. He's not going to be a top 3 outfielder if they release him. One other card that I'll go through that some people thought it would be Matt Olson, and I don't really understand why. He only has 7 home runs, 340 average, but again, he's the only Athletics All-Star, so we know definitely will be the Season 3 Team Affinity card for the Athletics, so it won't be him. So I narrowed it down to Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani, or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now let's check out OPS. Shohei Ohtani was number 1. He's definitely deserving. 13 home runs, 309 average. But again, like Tatix, I think he's too good. They're going to have other opportunities to give him a great card. And they already gave him a very good card last month in the Player of the Month program. So I don't think it'll be him. Same thing with Vladimir Guerrero. They already gave him a very good card it was either last month or the month before. They gave him a card in the Player of the Month program. They're going to have other opportunities to give him a fantastic card, maybe the finest series later on this year. Both of these players are in the Home Run Derby, so they could get some kind of Home Run Derby card. But the thing about Kyle Schwarber is they might not have another opportunity to give Kyle Schwarber a great card. And we've seen with some of the cards they released already earlier this year, they really like to give fans players they like to use in Battle Royale, like Jorge Soler, they gave a great card. They gave Miguel Sano 2 great cards. They gave Edwin Encarnacion a great card. They gave Jake Diekman a great card. So they've shown they want to give the fans the cards they love to use. And Kyle Schwarber is one of those cards because he has a great swing, but also because he plays catcher secondary. Now, this is the big reason why they're going to make him Player of the Month, in my opinion. He plays catcher. It's a very thin position. Carlos Santana and Jorge Posada are the best 2 catchers right now, in my opinion, and neither of them have over 100 power from either side. Kyle Schwarber would have 125 power or at least 120 power against righties. I know he wouldn't be great against lefties, but I think they would juice it up a little bit. He'd be probably between 70 to 80 contact, between 85 to 95 power. Plus, they know people can just platoon him if they want to platoon him with a catcher that hits good against lefties like Jimmy Fox or like Robinson Chirinos. They don't want people always using the same cards all the time. It makes the game kind of boring. It's much more interesting if people are using different cards and different strategies. And I think this card would be a card that some people would try to platoon, some people would just use straight up, and some people would say, I don't want to use him because he's no good against lefties. So it would make more variety in the game. And that's what I think they want is, and one of the reasons why they tend to lean towards making average players and good players, they lean towards choosing those guys to make into great cards. For example, they don't typically give Ronald Acuna or Tatix or Jacob deGrom Tops Now cards, even though they might have a fantastic week. Why? Because they already have fantastic live series cards. So they want to give those special cards to average or good players. And I would say Kyle Schwarber is a good player, but he's not on the level of Shohei Ohtani or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So that, in addition to 16 home runs, in addition to he plays catcher, which is the thinnest position right now, that's why I think Kyle Schwarber will be the player of the month. He has a good swing, so I want to show you the swing right now. Playing with him in BR. Bam, opposite field. I wasn't even really on that. I was late a little bit, but it still went out. Here's another at bat I have with Schwarber. Take. Bam, look how quick that swing was. Look how smooth it was. Right off the scoreboard. Let's go on to the next at bat. Here we go, Kyle Schwarber, lefty. He's serviceable. His swing's still good. I've hit home runs with him lefty, and I've had home runs hit off me lefty, pitching a lefty to Kyle Schwarber in BR. So he can hit lefty. His attributes would be juiced. So those are all the reasons I think Kyle Schwarber will be the player of the month this month. Let me know, do you think it's going to be Kyle Schwarber? Do you think it's going to be Shohei? Do you think it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Do you think it's going to be somebody else? Would you be happy if it's Kyle Schwarber? Who would you like the player of the month to be? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.